Hi, my name is Katie Grissom, and today I would love to speak with you about the theory of relational dialectics. The first theorist that I would like to speak with you about, her name is Leslie Baxter. She was the director of research at the University of Iowa. The first time that she conducted an actual interview research experiment, Leslie Baxter realized that her experimentation would be much more complicated than what she originally realized. The dynamic within relationships was much more complicated than what she originally realized, and that was due to conflict that occurred within relationship communication. The second theorist that I would like to speak with you about, her name is Barbara Montgomery. She was the former provost and vice president at the of academic affairs at Colorado State University in Puerto Rico. And she also did her own independent studies on relational dialectics. And it's interesting that they both came out with separate studies but similar perspectives. The theoretical orientation of the theory. Relational dialectics is an interpersonal communication theory. It's about close personal ties and relationships that highlight the tensions, the struggles, and the interplay between contradictory tendencies. In 1988, Leslie Baxter and Barbara Montgomery defined communication patterns between relationship patterns as the result of endemic dialectical tensions. Relationships are formed by dialogue, so communication between one another. When partners make decisions, when they express desires or viewpoints that contradict one another, they are led towards dialectical tensions, which cause complications within their relationship. The theoretical traditions. Relational dialectics is the emotional and value-based version of the philosophical dialectic. It is rooted in Dionism of the yin and yang. Like the classic yin and yang, the balance of emotional values in a relationship are constantly in motion. And any value pushed to the extreme contains a seed of its opposite. Baxter and Montgomery discovered recurring contradictions that challenge the traditional wisdom of relationship development theories. For example, Roberts' phenomenological approach assumes that closeness is the relational idea. Berger's uncertainty reductions theory points a quest for interpersonal certainty. And Altman and Taylor's social penetration theory validates the importance of transparency. Nevertheless, Baxter and Montgomery agree that these relational theories, they are valid in their points and they are valid in their research. But they concluded that that was only a portion of the complete story. Baxter and Montgomery stated that actual communication within families, friendships, and romances seldom follow a straight or direct path towards the goals that were previously stated by the theorist. Baxter and Montgomery believe that this was the case because most people are drawn to the exact opposite of their selves, which also quotes the phrase opposites attract. Their research was focused on three overreaching relational dialectics that affect most, if not all, relationships. The first is integration versus separation. This states or describes the contradiction between connection and autonomy as a primary strain within most relationships. The second is stability versus change. Baxter and Montgomery do not argue with Berger's theory of interpersonal certainty. However, they argue that Berger ignored the importance of mystery, of spontaneity, of the occasional surprise that should occur within relationships. Because without that sense of mystery, surprise, or spontaneity, there would be an emotional disconnect or death within the relationship. There would be no sense of expectation or surprise, which could cause the emotional connection to become bland. The third is the expression and non-expression. Baxter and Montgomery see the pressures of openness and closeness to mirror the phases of the moon. If communication becomes bizarre between the individuals in a relationship, it causes a dialectical force for transparency, and it can cause a disconnect or imbalance of the relationship. Critiques of the theory. This was one of the most interesting aspects of the research that I conducted, was that most of the critiques that came from this study came from the people who created it, which were Baxter and Montgomery. Baxter and Montgomery not only agree with the critiques that have been posed against their theory, but they actually helped to develop them themselves. They believe that the relational dialectics should be critiqued because this allows one the ability to discover relationships from a fresh and new perspective. I love their openness of their theory and willingness to understand new perspectives. And I hope that you enjoyed my presentation, and have a great evening. Thanks.